It is dark, and he cannot move. Not won't. Can't. His arms are pinned to his sides. His knees are locked straight. A wall of packed straw presses against his face, close enough that every breath tastes of dust and old sacking. He is not hiding behind something. He is sewn inside it, stitched into a mattress by his own hands and the hands of his friends, threaded shut like a parcel that must not be opened. A single slit, no wider than a finger, feeds him air. Through it comes the smell of a German town and the grind of cartwheels on stone. The cart has stopped. It rolled out through the gate of the castle an hour ago down the hill into the streets below, and now it sits still, and he can hear boots. He counts them. He counts the voices. He prays that none of them lean down. Then a thud, a grunt. A German officer has stepped onto another mattress lying in the road, and the officer has felt something underneath the straw. Something hard, something shaped like a man. A few feet away, sealed in his own mattress, the prisoner stops breathing, because there are two of them out here. Two men stitched into straw, carried out under the eyes of the guards, and one of them has just been found. He cannot see it happen. He can only hear it. He cannot run. He cannot even sit up. He is cargo, blind and helpless. And the question hanging over him is brutally simple. When they finish with that mattress, do they check the next one? How does a 20-year-old end up as freight, dressed as one of Hitler's own boys, smuggled out of the one prison the Nazis swore on their reputation no man could ever beat? And once he is out, can he get away at all? Rewind 7 months to a fortress on a cliff. Colditz Castle stands above the river Mulde in the heart of Germany, a 1,000-year-old pile of stone with walls 7 feet thick and a drop on every side. The Reich does not use it for ordinary prisoners. It uses it for the difficult ones, the escapers. The men who have already climbed out of, tunneled under, or walked straight through some other camp and been dragged here so it never happens again. This is the bad boys' camp, the end of the line, and the man in charge of the Luftwaffe, Hermann Göring himself, has looked at the place and pronounced it escape-proof. Think about what that word does to the right kind of man. To most prisoners, it sounds like a sentence. To the men inside Colditz, it sounds like a dare. And Colditz is full of exactly the men who hear it that way. British, French, Polish, Dutch, all of them sorted here for the same crime, the crime of refusing to stay caught. Officers who have already gone over wire, under fences, through sewers, the guards know it. So they count the prisoners parade after parade, sometimes 4 times a day. They search the cells, they tap the walls, they run the most watched building in Germany, and every man inside it spends his waking hours doing one thing the Germans cannot stop: thinking. In November 1940, one of the first British officers arrived at the gate, Second Lieutenant Anthony Allan, of the Queen's Own Cameron Highlanders. His friends call him Peter. He is small. He is boyish. He looks, frankly, about 16. And he is carrying a weapon almost no other man in the castle owns. He speaks German, not phrasebook German. Fluent, unaccented, schooled in Germany before the war German, learned as a boy at school in the country he is now at war with, long before England and Tonbridge. Most prisoners can only dream of hiding from a German. Allan can do something far stranger. He can become one. He can stand in front of an enemy officer and answer in the enemy's own tongue, and the officer will hear nothing wrong. He has form too. Captured on the 10th of June 1940, in the days the whole French front fell apart, he was marched off to a camp at Laufen. He did not settle in. He helped dig a tunnel under the wire and crawled out through the dirt. They caught him, of course, the way they catch almost everyone the first time. But the Germans noticed something in the small, fluent boy who would not stop trying, and they did what they do with men like that. They sent him to the one place designed to break the habit. They sent him to Colditz. That is why he is here now, on the cliff, behind the 7-foot walls, in the cage built for people exactly like him. He is among the very first British officers to arrive. The castle is still filling up, and the rules of this strange new contest are still being written by the men who will spend the next 4 years playing it. So Allan does in Colditz what he did everywhere else. He watches, he counts the guards, he studies the rhythm of the place, the way water finds a crack. and he waits for the gap. Then, one ordinary morning, the Germans hand it to him. They announce that they are clearing out the castle. The attics and storerooms are stuffed with old furniture and surplus straw mattresses, and the prisoners have been quietly stripping them for years, board by board, thread by thread, for tunnel shoring and escape kits. So the Germans decided to remove the temptation. They will haul the lot down the hill and out of the camp. And the prisoners, watching the working party stack mattresses onto a cart, all arrive at the same electric thought at the same moment. The security measure is a door. Anything that leaves the castle leaves through the gate. The Germans have just promised to carry a pile of mattresses out of the most secure prison in the Reich. So the only question left is the obvious one, the one that makes a young man's heart kick against his ribs. Could a man go out with the mattresses? And if he could, what kind of man survives the trip, sealed in straw and blind, all the way through the gate? The plan forms fast, because the cart will not wait. The escape committee turns the camp into a workshop. Somewhere in Colditz, hidden hands are stitching a uniform. Not a soldier's uniform. A Hitler Youth uniform, the kit of one of the regime's own boys, because Allan is small and young and speaks like a native, and a teenager in a brown shirt draws no second glance in a country crawling with them. The hunted will travel dressed as the hunter's child. They scrape together Reichsmarks, real German money, smuggled and hoarded for exactly this. They settle the route in his head. He will head east and south, toward Poland, toward people he believes will hide a British soldier and pass him along the line to freedom. It is a long way. It is hundreds of miles of enemy ground. But he has the one thing that turns hundreds of miles of enemy ground from a death sentence into a possibility. He can talk his way through it. And then they face the part of the plan that no amount of cleverness can soften. To leave with the mattresses, Allan has to become a mattress. He climbs in. His friends fold the straw around him and begin to sew, pulling the heavy thread tight, closing the seam over his body inch by inch until the daylight narrows to a single cut slit near his face. That slit is his entire world now. It is the only air he gets. It is the only proof the outside still exists. Once the last stitch goes in, there is no abort. He cannot tap a shoulder and ask to come out. He cannot shift if his arm goes numb. If a guard decides to prod the load with a bayonet, he will not see it coming and he cannot flinch. He is blind. He is close to suffocating. He is, for the next hour, completely at the mercy of strangers and luck. Every other escape leaves a man something to do at the worst moment. A wall to climb, a guard to fool, a door to pick. This plan strips all of that away on purpose. Allan does nothing, sees nothing, controls nothing. Every instinct a hunted man owns, the urge to look, to listen, to bolt, is sewn shut inside the straw with him. All that is left is one bet, that a load of old mattresses on a cart is too dull to search. He is wagering his life on German boredom, and here is the detail that doubles every danger. He is not going alone. A second officer, Lieutenant John Hyde Thompson, is being sewn into a second mattress beside him, dressed in plain civilian clothes for his own run. 2 men, 2 parcels, 1 cart. It sounds like better odds. It is the opposite. Now a single mistake, a single curious boot, a single seam that splits, does not doom one escape. It can doom 2. One discovery and the guards will tear into every mattress on the cart, and there will be nowhere left to be blind and helpless and safe. The French prisoners assigned to the labor detail know exactly what they are carrying. They lift the mattresses. They lay them on the cart with the gentleness of men handling something fragile and forbidden. And the cart begins to move. Allan feels the floor tilt under him as the wheels find the slope. He hears the gate. He hears it pass. The grind changes pitch as stone gives way to the cobbles of the town. And for a few impossible minutes, the most terrifying thing in the world is doing nothing at all, lying still inside a wall of straw, while the prison he could not see falls away behind him. Years later, he will call this cart ride the most frightening moment of his entire life. Not the gunfire of 1940, not the recapture. This, the helplessness of it. The cart stops in the town. A pause. Footsteps. The ordinary noise of a German afternoon, then the thud, the grunt. An officer's weight comes down on the other mattress, and beneath the straw his boot finds something that straw should not contain. Found. One man down. The next mattress in the road is Peter Allan. Do the boots move on, or do they start working their way down the line? Now everything depends on the seconds the discovery buys. Inside the straw, the scene is nothing but sound. Allan cannot see the officer crouch over Hyde Thompson's mattress. He cannot see the moment the game gives itself away. He can only hear the pitch of the voices change, the sudden cluster of boots, the whole drama of attention rushing toward one spot in the road and away from him. That is his opening, the only one he will get. While the Germans are busy with the man they have caught, Allan goes to work on the seam, cutting and tearing through the thread that holds him in, opening the parcel from the inside. Every sound he makes is a risk. Every second he stays is a second closer to a guard, remembering there was more than one mattress on the cart. The straw loosens. The slit becomes a gap. The gap becomes the edge of the world. He waits for a beat of noise to cover him. And then the boy who walked into the escape-proof castle steps out of a mattress in a German street, brushes the straw from a Hitler Youth uniform, straightens it like he has every right to be standing there, and simply walks away while every guard in earshot is looking in the wrong direction. He is out. The men back on the cliff would have killed to feel what he feels now. The castle Göring branded escape-proof, the fortress built to hold the men no other prison could, has just been beaten by a 20-year-old who got carried through its own front gate as rubbish. The boast is already a lie. It became a lie the instant his feet touched the cobbles. If you have ever rooted for the small, clever underdog against the big, confident machine, this is the moment you came for. Subscribe, and you will not run short of it, because this channel lives on the escapes the textbooks leave out. But hold the celebration, because the story now does something cruel. It moves the walls. Allan is free of the castle and standing in the middle of the problem the castle was hiding. He is a lone enemy soldier deep inside Nazi Germany, hundreds of miles from any friendly border, with nothing protecting him but a brown shirt and his own nerve. The disguise goes live. He walks the town like he belongs in it. He answers questions in German so clean that ordinary people, and the first casual checks, wave the polite young man along without a thought. The disguise rewrites every odd he faces. A British escaper in stolen civilian clothes spends every second praying not to be spoken to, because the first question in German is the end. Allan is the opposite. He can be spoken to. He can answer, ask directions, complain about the trains, trade a word with a stranger, and walk away leaving nothing behind but the memory of a polite young German boy in a hurry. In a country where the wrong accent is a death sentence, he carries the right one. He does not blend into the crowd by hiding. He blends in by belonging. It works. It keeps working. He moves out onto the road and points himself east, toward the friendly hands he believes are waiting in Poland. And for a while, the impossible keeps unfolding in his favor. Mile after mile, a hunted man wearing the face of the hunt. The castle is behind him. The question that takes its place is larger and far colder. It is no longer whether one man can break out of a prison. It is whether one man can break out of an entire country that wants him dead. And as the miles stretch out ahead, a smaller, unglamorous enemy appears, the kind no uniform can fool. The distances are enormous. The money in his pocket is running out. How far does a boy get on a fortune that is already vanishing? And what does a hunted man do the day the last coin is gone? This is where the story stops being about guards and starts being about hunger. The Reich is vast, and Allan is one boy crossing it on foot and by whatever transport he can manage, alone, rationing a dwindling fold of Reichsmarks. Every mile he covers is a mile further from the castle, and a mile deeper into a continent under total Nazi control. The disguise still holds. People still see a tired teenager in a brown shirt and look straight past him. But a uniform cannot buy a meal. It cannot pay for a ticket. It cannot put back the weight falling off a body that is burning through its last reserves. He aims for Poland and the friends he believes are waiting there. He ends up, instead, in Vienna. Far south of where he meant to be, pulled off course by the brute facts of travel in wartime, and out of money. The marks that felt like a fortune in a prison cell do not last long against the cost of crossing a continent. They thin out, they run low, and then, one purchase at a time, they are simply gone. The disguise still does one job and fails the other. It can walk him past a checkpoint. It can answer a question. It cannot conjure a coin. The same brown shirt that makes him invisible to the police means nothing at all to his stomach. He is the most convincing German boy in the city, and he cannot afford to eat like one. There is nothing cinematic about how he loses. He has outthought the cleverest prison in Germany. He has worn the enemy's own uniform down the enemy's own streets. And what finally pins him is the thing that pins anyone, anywhere, in any century: an empty pocket and an empty stomach. The Gestapo never lays a finger on him. Arithmetic does. He has one card left, and it is the strangest one in the deck. His only hope of sanctuary lies inside the enemy's own world. Allan's stepmother is an American citizen, a woman who would later be known back home as the inventor of a children's toy. A small, bright corner of ordinary life about as far from a Vienna street in 1941 as it is possible to get. And in May 1941, the United States was still neutral, still on speaking terms with Berlin, still flying its flag over a consulate in Vienna. American soil in the middle of the Reich, a door that, by the cold logic of neutrality, the Germans cannot kick down. If he can reach it and claim that thin thread of family, he might just be passed quietly to safety while the war rages on outside the gate. It is, on paper, the best card he has left. A claim of an American family, pressed at an American door, in the one city where that door still stands open. So he gambles everything that remains. Starving, footsore, 9 days on the run, carrying the last of his strength and the whole of his hope, he presents himself at the American consulate in Vienna and asks for help. They refuse him. Neutral means neutral. The officials will not touch a British escaper carrying that kind of risk into their careful diplomatic peace. To shelter an enemy soldier who has just broken out of a German prison is to pick a side, and in May 1941, America has not picked one. So the door that was supposed to be a wall on his side for once, the one institution on the entire continent that was not supposed to want him dead, turns him back out into the street. The last refuge in his world swings shut in his face, and it does it politely with regret, which somehow makes it worse. And now the trap is complete, and there is not a single guard in it. He is free, genuinely, technically free, standing on a public street in a city, no chains, no cell, no guard within sight. And he is finished. He has no money. He has no food. He has no sanctuary and no safe direction left to walk. He cannot go forward to a Poland he will never reach, and he certainly cannot go back. 9 days of running have spent everything he had down to the last coin and the last calorie. Nobody built this trap, and that is the awful genius of it. No warden designed it. No interrogator sprang it. It is only the shape of the world he escaped into, an entire continent locked down by one regime, where a free man with an empty pocket has nowhere on the map to simply be. The castle had walls he could see and beat. This prison has no walls at all, and that is exactly why there is no way out of it. So he does the only thing a body can do when it has nothing left. He finds a park bench, lies down in the open, and lets his eyes close. When he wakes, the enemy has finally won, and it did not need a rifle to do it. He tries to stand. His legs will not answer. The cold of the night, the hunger of 9 days, the miles ground into him on foot, have shut his body down where it lay. He orders himself up the way a soldier orders himself anywhere, and his own legs ignore the command. The man who walked out of an escape-proof castle now cannot take a single step away from a park bench. There is a cruelty in it almost too neat to believe. Every wall the Germans built, he beat. The cliff, the 7-foot stone, the gate, the guards, the famous name. And the thing that finally holds him is a bench, an empty stomach, and a body that has simply run out. What happens to the prisoner who beats the unbeatable fortress and is then beaten by a park bench? He is found where he fell, unable to rise, and that is how they get him back. The difference is the whole point. The Germans did not outwit Peter Allan. Their escape-proof castle did not hold him. Their guards did not run him down. The continent did the work the prison could not. Distance and hunger and a closed, neutral door starved him into a state where he simply could not move. and only then, helpless on the ground, was he collected like lost property. On the 31st of May, 1941, he was returned to Colditz. The cost is real, and the story refuses to dress it up. He is handed 3 months of solitary confinement, alone with stone walls and his own thoughts, paying in silence for the days he spent free. And waiting inside the castle is a quieter wound, the kind that does not leave a mark. For more than 3 weeks, there had been silence. No recapture, no telegram, no triumphant German announcement on the parade ground. Nothing. And to men in a prison, silence is the sweetest sound there is. Day by day, with no bad news arriving, the other prisoners had let themselves believe the thing they all needed to believe. That Peter Allan, the small boy who spoke perfect German, the first of them to get clean out, had pulled it off, had crossed the continent, had made it home. In their minds, he was already in England, proof that the door they had found was real. His return through the gate, half carried, kills that belief in front of all of them. The first man out is also the first man brought back, and every prisoner in Colditz watches it happen, but look at what cannot be taken back no matter how many months they lock him away. Anthony Allan is the first Briton to prove that Colditz can be beaten, the first to make Göring's word a lie. He did not slip a guard or see a bar. He took the Germans' own anti-escape operation, the careful clear-out designed to stop escapes, and rode it out through the front gate as freight in a Hitler Youth uniform. The moment his feet hit the cobbles of the town, escape-proof died, and no amount of solitary confinement could ever resurrect it. The truth he leaves stitched into that town outlasts any cell. The walls were never the hard part. The 7-foot stone, the cliff, the famous fortress, all of it turned out to be the easy wall. The real prison was the world outside it, an entire occupied continent, and the man who cracked the castle in an afternoon was undone not by steel, but by an empty stomach and a slammed door. Getting out was the triumph. Staying out was the impossible part, and it was impossible for reasons no guard could take credit for. They could drag the body back to a cell. They could never again honestly call the place inescapable. And here is the consequence that outlived the cell. Allan's attempt was the opening shot. Every prisoner in Colditz had just watched a 20-year-old prove the thing Göring swore was impossible, and proof like that is contagious. If a boy in a stolen brown shirt could ride out the front gate inside a mattress, then the word escape-proof meant nothing, and the only question left was how. What followed was the castle's legendary escaping season, a flood of ever more ingenious attempts. Men in fake guard uniforms, men down ropes, men through a hole in the stage during a prison concert, men who built things in attics that should not have been buildable. Attempt after attempt, year after year, until Colditz, the fortress designed to end escapes, became the most escape-attempted prison of the entire war. Allan survived that war. He did not reach home in 1941. He did something that outlasted reaching home. He went first, and he showed the rest of them the door. He broke the spell. And once a spell is broken, it stays broken. They locked the man back in his cell, and they were right to think they could. They were wrong about everything else. You can recapture a body. You cannot unprove what one nobody just proved possible. Peter Allan beat the most feared regime on earth by disappearing into it, the right uniform, the right accent, a face the enemy waved straight past. One British officer beat the same regime the opposite way. He walked at German soldiers carrying a longbow, bagpipes wailing over the gunfire, and a Scottish broadsword on his hip, and once marched 42 of them out of their own position without firing a single shot. Not because he was stronger than an army, because there is a half second when a man who sees something impossible cannot decide what to do about it. And Jack Churchill learned to live inside that half second, right up until the day he met a weapon that did not need to look first.